All right, guys, what's going on? So I am making a video today about why the American dream is not for everybody. So let's first identify what the American dream is. The American dream in its original form and when it was presented to the people arriving to America has totally been modified in modern times as what the American dream is today. So what is the American dream? In a nutshell, the American dream was more about opportunities and freedoms for a lot of people when they originally came over here and migrated from whatever country they was from. Today, the American dream has been modified into more about materialistic values, which was not the original idea back then when it was coined, okay? So now, if you are a millennial and you're watching this video, please pay attention to what I'm about to say because this really applies to you as well as the 80s babies, my generation. So I'm going to use the year 2003, and I'm going to use that year because that's the cutoff year that I feel once 2003 hit and onward, there was a lot more tools like internet, social media, YouTube, Facebook, you know, all this stuff started coming around. I mean, a lot of this stuff was in its early stages. It might have not been here like TikTok, but you get the point. Social media in general, a lot of platforms were starting to be established and used more. Now, what does this have to do with millennials and 80s babies? Let me connect the dots for you. If you are a millennial, imagine going to school in the 90s or early 2000s is your graduation year, being born in the 80s, and you grew up with no social media, no YouTube, no Instagram, no Reels, no TikTok, no cell phones, you know, and you don't have this technology and an abundance of information and avenues to find information. Instead, you have a card catalog and a big library, and you're just looking up numbers and first three letters of a subject that you're interested in, and you got to go through a whole set of books to find that one book on what you're doing, and it's checked out, and then you got to wait like 2 or 3 weeks. You don't have that problem in these times with millennials. You guys can just simply go on the internet and Google it, whatever you want. We didn't have that. So the whole point of me referencing that is we were limited to information and we had to work hard as hell to even obtain it. It was not as so easily accessible as it is today. So the American dream was put onto us in our generation, and not only from society, but also from our parents. Our parents used to work jobs for like 30 years. They went to most people back then went to the military or they worked at like some company for 30 years and then they would retire. They mostly worked one job, maybe two at max. And they would stay in there for retirement because they were worried about their pension when it looked good back then and Social Security was a thing back then. Nowadays, you can't operate in those times because we live in a much different competitive world now. So when you're a kid and your parents are under the umbrella of the American dream, you know, which is go to college. Nowadays, it means go to college. After you get out of high school, get a good job and work till you're 65 and be set for retirement. That was our parents' way of thinking, okay? Now, they put that on us at a young age and instilled us with those principles because a lot of them were not able to go to college and live out a lot of opportunities. So in their mind, going to college means more opportunities. Well, it appeared that way for a while, but guess what? They didn't realize when we get to be 18 years old and college was applicable to us, those standards changed. So now that more people went to college in my generation than my parents' generation, the college upped their standards. So having a high school diploma in my parents' generation was sufficient. You can get a job from a high school diploma. But in my generation, you at least had to have a minimum of a bachelor's. And as time went on, they made a master's a minimum, you know, years of experience. So when you're taught about the American dream, you're asked a question at a young age, what do you want to be when you grow up? A lot of us don't know what we want to be at 5 years old when we start going to school or 6 or whatever. But the reality is, once you get to an age of accountability, you're asked that same question again. And now you're asked that question and then you're saying, oh, I want to be this, I want to be that. You really have no idea because nobody's pushing the idea of being an entrepreneur, or they're not pushing the idea of going to a technical school and acquiring a skill for way less debt and actually more income potential in a lot of fields when you get a select trade. You know, so it's not something commonly pushed. What's pushed is the American dream of having a big house, having a fancy wedding, you know, having a family, a white fence in the back, ironically, as you can see, a dog in the backyard. And there's nothing the matter with that lifestyle. But what they don't tell you is it costs so much of your time and so much of your stress to manage that lifestyle. Is the American dream really your dream? Because I'm going to tell you, 90% of the blue collar employee workers today in the USA, I guarantee you at a high capacity, are not happy with working at their jobs. This is why people have Indeed and all these job searches at the leisure of their phone, because they're constantly looking to grow in their corporate life. Because now, here's what happened, guys, and I'm gonna try to sum it up. When you're a kid and you get to high school and you're promoted with going to college, you're basically saying, let's get in debt first before we obtain income. And as you're doing that, now you got to work your way to get out of debt. They're not telling you that a mortgage on a house and a student loan are two of the biggest debts that you will ever acquire in your life by pursuing the American dream. It would be nice if you went to school and they didn't teach you about how to dissect a frog, but instead took that time and taught you how to manage a mortgage. It would be nice if school didn't teach you about making gym class a requirement, right? But instead, they taught you about how to avoid student loans and student debt and to actually work your way through college if you choose to go that route and make college more effective and it's something you want to do. But we weren't told that. A lot of us just went to college. We just got degrees because our parents said do it. And once we got it, we didn't know where the hell we wanted to go. So once you get this job, now you got a bunch of debt before you're 25 years old, before you own a home, before you own a car. And now you got to work an entry-level job because you have no experience and the companies were not hiring you at the high-level paying jobs that they promoted. So now you got all this debt. Now you got to be committed to a job. Then you get kids and then you hit your 40s and you're like, damn, I'm really tired of working a job. I wish I can have freedom. And you're like, is it too late to change my life and career? And the answer is no. It is never too late. If you're in your 40s and you really want to get out of this corporate trap, then you got to think outside the box. You got to start investing time into your dreams, your own dream, and ditch the American dream that was promoted to you and start thinking for yourself. I'm going to leave it with this. When you were a kid, your parents, society, your guidance counselors, all these influential people, have they ever asked you, what do you want to be in your dream, and actually supported it as a unit? There's always someone with an opinion. There's always going to be somebody, well, no, you shouldn't do that because that's too risky, or you shouldn't do that because how are you going to pay the bills? When you're young, you have the risk. You don't have the responsibilities like a 40-year-old dad or mom who's married with kids and they got more bills than they can think of. You know, when you're like in your 20s, you got the freedom and the flexibility to take more risk. So take those risks. Do not be afraid. That's why I respect these millennials today, because they have more resources than we did and they're taking advantage of them. They're still going to college, but a lot of them are going outside the box as well. And that's great to see that young people are not afraid, right? So if you're in your 40s and you're an 80s baby like myself, don't be afraid to make that change. Invest in yourself. I did it, and I'm making this video passionately because I understood when I got to a certain age, I'm like, I'm living the American dream because I was taught this and I really pursued this thinking that this was going to make me successful, not realizing it was never my dream to begin with. And that's a harsh reality when you got to look in the mirror and say, am I living someone else's dream or am I living my dream? Did any of us really want to go to college, or were we promoted to go to college? That's what I'm getting at. You know, if I can do it over again, I wouldn't regret going to college, but I would have not been limited to just going to college. I would have opened myself up to other avenues of success. And I'm just being real. When you look back at your childhood growing up and how college was promoted, did anybody ever tell you how to own a home? Did anybody ever tell you how to manage a lifestyle? You know, majority of people, no. So you don't find that out until you own a home, until you have to manage a lifestyle, how to do that. And then it's a little bit like later in your life when you start figuring things out. So I hope this video helps somebody, you know, take advantage of the opportunities that are out there and understand the American dream is not for everybody. What is for you is your dream, your goals. If your dream is the American dream, this video does not apply to you. But if your dream, like 90% of the people I know in America and most of the people in America, is your own dream and your own happiness, then damn it, pursue it. Don't let someone else's pre-planned dream, society's pre-planned dream, control the way you operate and move in life. Go for your dream. If you want to be a traveler, or you want to do whatever brings you joy for a living, then invest in that and find out how to make it pay you. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? So hope this video helps somebody. Many blessings to everybody out there, and go for your dreams, guys. Never stop dreaming. Let your dream be your dream and not the advertised American dream be your dream. Peace out.